iPod Classic, an MP3 player produced by Apple. Until now, the company has released 6 models to the market. At present, iPod has dominated the industry with more than 70% of market share, as this figure shows. And the objective of the presentation is to show key factors that contribute to the success of iPod. The innovation of iPod was driven by both technology push and market pull. When Apple entered the market in 2001, demand for MP3 players already existed because free songs were available on the internet. From the technology perspective, Apple used readily accessible technology to create the first generation iPod. For example, this hard drive is from Toshiba, and its iconic scroll wheel is firstly used by Creative Labs. So these technologies were not unique to Apple, since they were developed by others. Apple has been perceived as the inventor of MP3 players. However, it is not the first mover in the industry. When Apple entered the market, there were about 23 companies produced MP3 players, including Electronic Kwan and Diamond Wheel. At this transitional stage, different models was produced by these companies. However, there were disadvantages of early MP3 players. For example, flash memory-based players can only store less than 1.5 hours of songs, whilst hard drive-based players is very heavy and big. Meanwhile, Apple used its sophisticated experience in hardware and software to eliminate these disadvantages by combining existing technology to create the first generation iPod, a hard drive-based player with more than 5 GB storage capacity, but the same size with a flash memory-based players. As a follower, the success of Apple was based on its timely entrance into the fast-growing MP3 market, while improve and learn from the disadvantages of first movers product. The first generation iPod was a combination of product, process, and paradigm innovation. For product innovation, the small and sleek design of iPod greatly differed from other MP3 players. Also, new technologies and components were used in manufacturing process, so process innovation occurred as well. Besides, Apple's, unlike the complexity in use of other MP3 players with many external buttons, Apple employed a new paradigm in the ease of use of the first generation iPod. The first iPod contains only a scroll wheel circled around by 4 buttons, so people can quickly navigate music saved in their iPod through a scroll wheel. And this high usability was one critical success factor for mass market adoption. On the other hand, iPod has caused a paradigm shift globally. Because of its prevalence, more manufacturers nowadays try to make their products compatible with iPod. For example, BMW installed a cable in their car to allow drivers to control and play music saved in their iPod through the car's stereo system and standard buttons. Besides, there has been a shift in how people consume music nowadays. In recent years, more people buy music on the internet or simply import songs from CDs into their MP3 players, but seldom listening to the actual CDs. Although Apple is not the first mover, iPod was truly a discontinuous innovation. First, it has caused a paradigm shift as previously discussed. Second, the success of iPod has redefined the marketplace that hard drive-based MP3 players has become the industry standard. And finally, there is a high novelty of technology of iPod, and since it was the first one to adopt 1.8-inch hard drive in the industry, and also it involved a unique integration of technologies to create such as dominant design. Although Apple achieved initial success for the first generation iPod, it makes continuous improvement to sustain its market leadership. Looking at this timeline, you can see that every new iPod model has changed their design layout. Also, new technologies are used for new models. For incremental innovation, Apple improved the quality or add new features for new iPods. For example, this table shows that new iPod models often have a larger storage capacity, but lighter and slimmer design. Notably, Apple keep enhancing the ease of use of iPod. Since the 4th generation iPod, customers can control everything save in their MP3 players by using only a click wheel. Besides, there has been significant change in some features of iPod, but the overall architectures remain the same. The most critical modular innovation of iPod was the 2nd generation iPod that includes Windows compatibility, and this helped Apple to attract most of computer users worldwide. Another significant change is the ability of 5th generation iPod to play video, and this also helped Apple to capture more customers in the market. For example, back to this figure, you can see that the unit sales of iPod has increased dramatically in 2006 after the 5th generation iPod released in a year before. So overall, we can see that Apple used constant innovation to maintain its market leadership, and this also provides the company with great competitive advantage. Obviously, constant innovation enables product differentiation that distinct the company's product from other MP3 players. Besides, more importantly, since Apple sells 3 times more MP3 players than its competitors, the company can produce iPods at a very low cost and enjoy a cost leadership. Another success factor of iPod is the CEO and entrepreneur of Apple, Steve Jobs. The idea of iPod was originated from Steve Jobs after he was inspired by Napster, a software that allowed people to download free music on the internet. After all, he gathered a team of engineers to develop the first ever iPod. Besides, he is also a visionary risk taker. His decision to make iPod compatible with Windows was actually a big risk, since it may seriously affect the sales of Mac computers. However, the final success of iPod in recent years has proved that he is a good leader for the company. Overall, the presentation shows 3 factors that contribute to the success of iPod. First, its success at the early stage was based on its timely entrance into the fast-growing market with a dominant design that encouraged mainstream adoption. Second, constant innovation helped Apple to keep leading its competitors, since it continues to updating its products, so competitors cannot match so far. And finally, the last factor is Steve Jobs, the CEO of the company, and he is also a visionary leader and innovator of Apple that brings success to the company. And that's all of my presentation, and now is the Q&A session.
And as your poster mentioned that the sales figure show the increase in iPod's unit sales is lesser recently. Is Apple losing its advantage?
Thank you. In fact, I think this is a quite normal situation, since the MP3 market is mature, and in terms of innovation, MP3 players is at a specific phase. So this depends on how the company deal with the situation and maximize product's profit. And in this case, we can see that Apple is very successful in depending on incremental innovation. On one hand, it can keep updating and keep its competitive advantage over competitors and maintain the production cost at a very low level. On the other, its incremental innovation means that Apple doesn't need to spend too much time on developing a new model, so it can keep updating its products very fast, and this is important in a high velocity market. Thank you. 寫埋名交俾你，寫埋個名我咪翻轉佢。哦，係啊係啊。